Hi, welcome to JETforce Chats, where we talk about everything related to digital embellishment. My name is Kevin Abergel, and I'm your host. Welcome to another edition of the JETforce Chats. I am Kevin Abergel, your host, and today with me, a very special guest, Chris Mejia from Goldleaf Packaging DMS Colors. Chris, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, Kev. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. For those of you who don't follow Chris and Goldleaf Packaging's exquisite work online, Chris has really been a phenomenal creative force. I've been following him for years back when we used to work together at MGI,
Right.
which is kind of funny because you were both from a technical as an engineer aspect, and also as somebody who runs the equipment now at a print shop. You really have both experiences, both sides of the table. Chris, before we get into it, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you end up in graphic arts and printing and doing what you're doing today? Tell us about yourself.
The inspiration to go into graphic design was really, my mother's always been an illustrator, and it's always been in that side of the family. My grandmother as well. You know, when I joined the Navy, I didn't have an interest or application that I saw until to the bootlegging days, late '90s, and then I had picked up a disc, somewhere between Kowloon and Hong Kong, and I ended up loading that up, and then once Photoshop fired off, and I saw, and what you could do with just the tools that I found, from there it was just like a spark. I was like, oh, this is so cool, and I even wanted to change my whole job, and Squadron was against it, and it was like I could test out and this and that, and then I ended up getting injured and blah 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 blah. Fortunately, getting injured to where I could be like, I'm not gonna do this anymore, and I'm just gonna end up leaving and going to school. So going to school, first choice was obviously I got to go into design. I want to explore this further. And then from there, I knew Photoshop, and then you get amongst the crowd, and you're like, oh, there's just so much more, and it's like, what do you mean? And well, there's video editing, there's 3D design, there's layout, there's it was just
a whole new world.
So yeah, it was just so much you could do, and it's all design, it's all stuff I could do. It's like, oh my God, Mom, I found something I could do with the talent that you naturally gave me. How cool was that? That kind of thing. So, it was school, met my wife, and then I ended up, after graduation, my wife graduated, and she was like, I'm going to go visit my mom in Florida. And I'm like, well, I'll come with you, so that's how we initially ended up in Florida, for a visit. And, once I walked the coast of Cape Canaveral, it was like, we're just going to stay, and then we just made our life there, and then after that, it was like, I was like, well, what am I going to do now? I have a degree, and I'm going to do with it. And we're just like, I'm new to the area. And then I ended up with a friend of hers was leaving a job. And then, I ended up at a textile company, Space Shirts,
Yep.
They're still there, and Brenda's still rocking, great design, great work. Shout out to Brenda. That really set my footing into design, as in taking stuff from illustration, screen, then back to textile, so it's just like full circle of, idea, screen, print, idea, screen, so there was that for a while. And then
Sure.
I met Pistorelli at the Safari. Yeah. So right. we did, design there for a bit, and then, he had his journey.
Yeah.
Fortunate journey, and then we circled back again. He's like, hey, come visit the shop, show you this digital foil, and I was like, what are we talking about? It's embossing, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't wrap my head around the conversation by phone. Then I remember going in the demo room, and it was like, oh, what is this thing? And then it's like Alpha Jet right there. It's like, and then the JETvarnish sitting in the back, and then he was like, here's a couple samples, and then you saw the boot, the snake. Yep. I was like, oh my God, this is bananas. This person does that. And then after that, that was the turning point of print, you know, and it was just
Yeah.
like, I am now, and you know, and I kind of fast forwarded, you
Yeah.
know, there, you know, years, but you know, I bounced around from textile to, you know, graphic design in a couple newspapers, and you know, and then you know, back
Yeah.
and forth. So in those years that I was doing just design, you know, it was kind of the same thing. And then that day in the demo room was like, this is a pivotal point in design, in perspective, and just everything. The way you see everything is just like, you know, it's like
Uh,
you almost hear the saber light up. What was that? Like, oh, you know, I'll find out later. You know, but yeah, that
uh,
was it, man. And then from there,
yeah.
it just took off, and then our
Chris,
story began. You
I'll
know,
never forget our first time meeting in that showroom, and the spark that just you could just tell you couldn't wait to get your hands on it. And I don't know if you agree, because you've been both a technician and engineer. You've helped
yeah,
people run this and fix the machines in the field, but you've also run it as somebody in the showroom and where you are today with DMS
right.
and Goldleaf. I think there's a special link that connects people who are very, I guess, successful with this equipment. And I could be wrong, but I think it all comes down to the guy that you have driving the machine, the guy behind the wheel, or the girl behind the wheel in many cases,
Oh yeah,
really tend to make the difference. What can you tell us from that standpoint? Because you've really been on the technician and running the machine yourself.
you're right.
I mean, is there a special kind of profile that makes a
There is and there isn't.
Mhm.
There is that absolute. You have, as an operator, you have to want to be doing it. You have to want to know what you're seeing, and understand. As it's kind of, when I explain it to some of the guests that come in, it's when you could dumb it down as like, we're just printing with liquid, you know, at different levels. You know, and start there. You know, I've broken out an Elmer's glue bottle, and kind of like, this is how, you know, and it's like, you know, and it's
Yeah.
in its simplest form. This is kind of how it works, you know, and then lighting affects it, you know, da da da, you know, and you take that whole demonstration of how it functions, and having that understanding of how it actually outputs items at different surface tensions,
Yeah.
at different finishes. I mean, we've isolated it into three primary finishes, that we like, as far as lamination condition.
Hmm.
And I'll talk about that later. But I've seen a consistency in that, and understanding that, as an operator, you can obtain a tremendous output. And in that environment of an operator, there's a tremendous success already having that understanding and the passion, but you also have to have that communication that bridges your I guess, you know, your design department. So you have a design department, and then you have this bridge, and I don't see a lot of companies that cross that bridge. Back in installation and demo days, and training days, you know, from, I don't know if I can mention, you know, like, you know, Utah,
Yeah.
Calgary, you
Sure.
know, there was always that kind of disconnection at some point from sales, art, and then there's just void, and then
Mm.
finishing, and then actual production, right?
Mm.
And we managed to kind of bridge a lot of those gaps between, the absolute say is like, okay, I made the sale, I made the call, push it through, it's going to be like this, all right. And then you have those kind of push throughs that go through a production, and then you have some jobs that drop into the system, and it's like, it just flows. And some of
Mm.
those are the already, they're designed within the idea that they're going to be produced on these machines,
Okay.
and then those are just, you know, they just flow right through, you know, the easy registry, you know, easy production, easy, you know, and it's
Yeah.
you know. And then there's some that are more demanding, and then it gets more complex depending on the involvement, you know, when you get too many chiefs involved in a ticket. And in that gap, I mean, it's kind of stops the crossing of that bridge, you know,
Sure.
from that communication. Say, hey, this would look better, you
Right.
know, or this might work on screen, looks great on screen, but as an operator,
It doesn't translate.
it's not gonna work, you know.
Right.
And then that idea gets pushed, you know, up, and then at the bridge it's stopped again. All right, well, this is what the customer paid for. This the
Yep.
customers are. It's like you gotta, especially with something new, you know, and then we're exploring avenues that they've seen. They've seen this box. Oh man, I want that, dude. Can you do that for me?
Mm.
Yeah, we can, but it's going to take a little bit of R&D, some conversation back and forth. We're going to see what you have as far as a campaign, pull elements, what can and can't be done. Not every logo can be have
Sure.
elements extracted and things, you know, embellish, or the embellishment approach has to be different. It has to be, you know, some embellishment focus on, you know, the idea of we're going to highlight this with adding the embellishment to that.
Mm.
Sometimes you have where you're going to embellish, you know, going to put a focus on this and then embellish everything around it to draw like a negative focus to it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's like
The less is more approach.
yeah,
So, Chris, I mean, one of the things I've seen too is, and I could be wrong, some of the best projects are created when the operators are involved in the sales cycle.
absolutely.
Can you
10 out
talk
of
a little about that? Really? Yeah. So you think the same thing? Yeah. That's kind of
I've seen some of the, and I've not, I mean, we have a great design team, excellent designers. Um, my favorites, some that have come through where it's like, this looks, it's just fantastic. Can you cuss? Can I cuss?
yeah. Who
I'm
cares?
like,
Yeah, I'm not gonna say
I'm
anything.
just like, am I going to get edited out? I mean, sometimes like, it just seems so natural.
I love that passion though.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you get that. I'm getting lost in it already. So you'll
Oh, we were talking about the sales cycle, like
yeah.
you guys being involved.
Yeah. So if you have an idea that comes through, all right, you get the meeting, you got there. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a box.
Yeah.
Okay, at the design point, when the operators, you know, it could be operators slash, you know, whoever's in charge of signing off on
Yeah.
foil and varnish coming off, because sometimes you have managers like I'm kind of seeing myself. Not in the whole, but migrating to a sense where it's like I need troops to like really
Yeah.
put out volume, and
Sure.
it's kind of like I need to show, you know, the full handling and capability of the saber, and it's like
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to be prepared, you know,
Yeah.
to go and fight the wolf and then come back, you know, that kind of thing, you know, and I have, dude, my operator, stellar, dude. I mean, one
Yeah.
of the best. That I've seen from day one, and he just had the passion for design, had the passion, you know, for like the curiosity. And then
Yes.
once that curiosity was met, you know, in the design end, it's like, oh, this is what this machine does.
Yeah.
Dude just took off. You know,
Yeah.
David Fallon, great operator. Shout out to
That's
David. Um,
but that's the passion that makes the operator, right? Like
yeah. So when there's those ideas are injected, like, oh, you know what? I did not bring it. Okay, so there was this box that came through, and it was like one of those like we're, you know, having in China. You know, we didn't want to do it anymore, domestic, blah blah, whatever. Long story short, we saw some of your work, had some other smaller boxes done with you guys. We want to take one of our flagship, you know, whatever, and try it. Okay, so ran the mass through, just like they submitted art, and it's like, oh my god, dude, it's like just they took everything that was text, like just foil, like whoa, like borders, accents,
yeah.
flourishes, man, it was just bananas, right? You know, it's like this is cool
Too
on
much
a
so.
on a tradition, you know, when you see the
Yeah.
traditional dyes with fine lines, and you know, and that's
Yeah.
like one of those things where it's like, I mean, that kind of stuff when you're, especially when you got titanium, and you know,
Yeah.
it's bananas what you could do with it. It's even crazier what you do in combination, because I have actually
Yeah.
seen some MGI and Kluge kind of
Hybrid.
mashups, and it was just like, oh wow, dude, this is crazy. But
Yeah.
anyhow, when you have those transpositions of you know fit, I mean, complete process, different processes. The customer idea is like, I don't care, you know. At that point, they're like, I don't really care what it takes. This is just what I want and what I've had before. And you do foil. I see the shiny foil. Make me foil. You know, and it's like, yeah, okay. So that's where you dial it in. You know, and it's like,
Yeah.
I remember the first conversation was, it wasn't so like, well, this is what we want, and that was when I was like kind of in the background, like when you go off to remember the breaks in between, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you go out and let's talk about the stuff that
Yeah.
we're not sure about. You guys
Yeah.
talk about stuff you're not sure about, and I'll dial in the mask real quick and just kind of
Yeah.
like just troubleshoot it real quick
Yeah.
and see where we're at, and then we'd be like, boom, here it is,
Yeah.
okay. And then once they came back and circled back to that, I was like, oh, I know it's not exactly, but and they would just, and then they'd start touching it. It was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
there's embossing in this. Like, yes, keep going,
So
But we
you
took
like reel them in slowly.
we
Yeah.
took that mask, dialed it back. It was multi opacity in some areas, so we were able to get the fine print. Everything that they wanted in foil, we got in foil. So we met their
Yeah.
what they wanted, but we also added embossing in areas, and then we had that second pass of varnish.
Yeah.
And then in that second pass of varnish, we were able to do multiple levels of just texture and some areas.
Well,
So it was,
I remember that's what you brought really to I mean, you brought so much to the table when we worked together, Chris, but I remember when you started exploring the seamless patterns,
oh yeah,
uh, and what those look like when you put those seamless patterns that you just go on Photoshop and either, I don't know how you found them or created them, but all of a sudden one day we woke up, we had like
Illustrator
500 of them.
tiling, the tile
Yes.
tool in Illustrator, man, that thing is just bananas now.
Man, and then you started running those varnish textures on top of the foils, and then we started doing foil on top of foil on top of foil, and with varnish
Yeah,
caps. And I just remember just going bananas with you being like, "Should we try this?" And it's like every time we had a demo, I remember it started off very structured,
yeah,
and like 15, 20 minutes in, it was like, "Hey, you guys want to see something cool?"
yeah, right. Like, hey, check this out. Hey, hand it to me again. Let's go again.
Yeah,
And
and then, and I think the people who bought MGI machines, who went through those kinds of experiences, I think those experiences stuck with them. And I know some of them that still have. Remember the signature demo that we did? We would scan in with the
right,
AIS, and then
yeah,
people
yeah,
they still have that on their walls. I'm like, man, I mean, it really, it's really when you discover a new technology like that, and you're part of the like discovery process, and it makes it
right.
fun. I think your
Especially
customers probably.
the little hooks that just like would just light up their eyes.
Yes.
See the gentleman that come in, just knotted up, just like ready to, I know, I understand, sir. You bought a lot of equipment. I understand,
Yeah.
but you haven't seen this, dude. Check this out. Check this out.
Right. Do
Oh,
you
I've
remember?
seen everything. It's like,
Yeah.
oh
We
god,
had. I remember we had the and I'm gonna cuss. It was the holy shit rule, and if we got 3 holy shits in a demo, chances are people were gonna actually invest.
right,
And that was the goal, was to try to get the 3, holy shit when it came off the machines.
right. Does it kick collectively, or is it just
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
representative from each group? That's
Yes.
yeah. We didn't
As
never
long
dug
as,
into the rules, but you got plenty of them, man. That was
yeah,
so.
we did. We did. We had a
It
lot of
was
fun.
really. It got to the point where it was like almost like a rush,
Yeah.
and then it was like just especially when you get the personalization, and then you start to
Yeah.
see how you take a businessman that's been doing business,
Yeah.
buying machine, equipment after equipment, and it's working with finishers and whatever, and then seeing something so personal, so right now, right here, right now, just sign this
Yeah.
right here,
Yeah.
send it through, like, oh, whoa, right? Yeah, yes, I added little hearts around it, sir, just to variable data. Oh yeah, you want to see variable data? Yeah,
That's not just very. That's your signature in foil,
right.
sir.
Yeah, that's one of
so,
one.
so we've had some phenomenal times. We've run some crazy files. I see the stuff that you're doing, especially on the cannabis side.
Right.
Tell us more about the cannabis side. I mean, I seem to think that they have a thing for holographic foil. Am I wrong?
Hollow is the go-to foil. Well, it's broken up. I actually I
Yeah.
can't. Well, God, there's those gold. You have those
Yeah.
that are like just solid, just gold.
Yeah.
You have those, and then you see the contrast with like gold black, gold gray, gold.
Yeah.
And then you have the hollow, the hollow crowd that they're
Yeah.
very colorful. They do utilize the surface surrounding the hollow to give it that real pop.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot of boxes coming through that are, I mean, just man, they're all over the place. It's like the
Well,
Skittles just,
I remember the putting silver on silver hollows or gold onto
Yes,
gold
yeah,
hollows. What about like a lot of people that we've been talking to have become a big fan of something called cracked ice?
yeah.
Or are you guys playing with that at all? I mean,
Well,
what's your
so
favorite?
we were working with a cast and cure cracked ice, and that was kind of like the first introduction for me with that
Yeah.
finished seamless pattern. And then that was a different that was a cast and cure running on the laminator.
Uh huh.
And then in the solution, because they just discontinued it, like they
I
just
know.
emailed us one day and like, we're not doing any more cast and cure. That's it.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, no nothing, like no nothing ever. That's it. And so we dug into foils, and one of the representatives of
Yep. Yeah.
came with the casting cure. No, the cracked ice look or foil
Yeah.
in a silver and a hollow.
Yeah.
So uh, I actually like the straight silver cracked ice over the hollow because the hollow seemed really dramatic. Like it was like just
It
over.
was. Especially
And
if you put it on top of like if you did like a cold foil, like if you printed like the Sweetwater's poster you guys ran.
right.
Like if you put that on top of like a foiled paper, it would just become entirely too distracting.
Yeah. It's like, okay, now I'm so lost in what I'm looking
Yeah.
at. What am I looking at? What am I buying
Yeah.
here?
I agree. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but
Uh,
there was this like this clear it was like a thick it was a chunky glitter, and it
uh-huh.
was like a quarter-inch like square glitter.
Yeah.
And I reached out to the company and I was like, can you guys do kind of like a diamond, squares, different shapes, and because I told them cracked ice, they were like, we have no idea. So I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
what about triangles? Just like different size triangles, at different angles.
Geometry.
Yeah, something like that. Like if you took glass and went smash, something like that, still nothing. But anyhow, so I haven't really found a solution for cracked
Yeah.
ice. I mean, I've seen a lot of,
Yeah, they stopped running it.
I mean, a lot of the finishing stuff that I've seen in the cannabis is the hollow,
Yeah.
the gold for the darker based, production boxes,
The
and
shiny or the matte gold? What do you see more of?
gold, shiny gold.
Shiny gold.
Matt, I've seen more in the athletics.
Interesting.
That's more like for college, collegiate
Yep.
stuff, high schools.
We're also seeing luxury.
It's more formal,
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. So luxury.
pro tip,
Yeah.
pro tip. Oh my God, matte foil with shiny foil on top is the go-to. You just want to play
Yeah.
anytime, any day. Just take any finish, print your matte gold, matte silver, choke that 2 pixels and run shiny whatever over it, matching foil, and you'll just love it.
Really?
Pro tip, yeah, any finish, man. It just looks like it gives it that like reverse look, and it's an illusion
Yeah.
because you're stacking the varnish and
All right. So say it
foil.
again. So you go first
take-
pass. You take your
okay,
matte.
Take your matte first pass mask, right?
Yep.
We'll run matte gold.
Okay.
Take that same mask, choke it 2 pixels, and some areas it's going to drop out, but that's cool because the effect is, it's going to go into an angle in some of that area where they
So it's almost like a bevel.
It is exactly what it is, and the output is that bevel. You can even take that same mask, choke it again, and then
Varnish.
just run a textured varnish just to add a bling on it. Just third pass, and boom, sold, man. That kind of stuff for high schools and for like yearbooks.
Yeah.
It's so good, especially doing variable data. I'm trying to work with some of the sales guys, and like, dude, it's like especially like when you come down to like the time when graduations, that season comes around, and you can grab that kind of special
for sure.
book cover.
You want to know another pro tip? Are you guys doing any braille yet or no?
No, they
All
won't
right, so
do it. All right, so where are we at with that?
All right, so we just one of the fellow JETforce members just ran all of the election cards in Mexico with braille, digital, so that everything you could be ADA compliant with digital braille. So how it's done is basically 3 passes. And typically, you would think it'd be a similar process than what you're doing, right? Where you have your first mask, then you choke it in, run the braille dot choked in, and then run the third pass even more choked in.
Right.
It's actually the opposite. So you're going to start off with your thinnest mask, then you're going to choke it out 1 pixel or 2 at 70 microns, and then a third. So basically, the dot doesn't become a pyramid. The dot becomes round. So you can actually, it domes if you do it backwards. So that's something you should play with. Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's a good idea. So if you want to get into Braille, it's 3 passes at 70 microns, but go small mask first, and then finish off with your big mask.
Yeah, dude,
that reads better. We did all the testing for the readability.
Big ups to whoever put that out, because that is huge. Thank you.
All right, so let's talk about you guys. You guys have run some phenomenal stuff. What's your favorite job that you've run so far, ever? I know that you ran an awesome little boat.
It's one that my fellow operator hates every time we run it, and it was I think it's the same company. They did a slider box, and it's this company, Gold Rush. And they do a push tab slider box like this.
The Easy Lock?
Yeah. But in the back it has like a little push tab, but
okay.
This doesn't have, just a slide, whatever. But this company, dude, they keep it basic, and they really let me see if I can get it in here. That's upside down. All right, so there's a passive varnish and a passive gold, and there's little nuggets on this thing, and there's a varnish, and then there's varnish on this thing, and then there's, obviously their logo, we kept it simple.
Wow, that really comes across beautiful.
I know, dude. Check this out. These guys go ape.
What? Wait, did you run that foil, or did you buy the paper like that?
All right, so this is done with gold laminate. It's
Nice.
4/0. Zero side gets a gold laminate. Outside is a soft touch caress laminate. Nobilis, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll put it out there. And we ran this at 36 micron for both foil and the varnish. But we were able to capture some.
Wow.
At first on screen, everybody was like, "That's so corny." I'm like, "Dude, that's so good, dude. That's going to transpose really good." So they use these same elements on their slider box, and same thing. We at first they were like, "Well, let's go ape shit." We're gonna go. And I'm like, "Wait, it's a slider box, so it's like a 2-piece, man." And we were gonna go gold inside and outside, but then we're like, there's really no point. It's going to cause friction. It's
engineering.
So that's. Actually, I got my 3 favorites right here. Actually.
Oh, look at that! Somebody came prepared.
Wait. No, I got that. My favorite slide is not here, but so this is another thing I've been trying to get with the operators in exercising the whole 100%. You got 100% to 30%, man. And we're going to stay in this window of 36 to 42 microns, and you got all that to play with when it comes to finishing. Why are we losing detail? Blah, 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 blah. So the reason you're losing detail is because liquid moves, right? So we were messing with, let's see, one of the where it says circus. I don't know if you can see circus right in here.
Yep.
It was just blobbing out, right?
How'd you get it to stick? How'd you get it to?
We ran the mask at 36 microns. The inside where the white is, it's capped with varnish. So there's a embossing. There's a red ring. There's a red ring of foil around an embossed white, and the background is ran at 25%. So at 25% of 36, running at the belt speed, you run 0 lamps.
Yep.
So, you run. I'm sorry, not 0 lamps. You run
no LED.
0 LED, and you run your UV at 75, and you're going to run your belt. You're going to take it from 0.25 to 2.2. The pro tip, operator, send your mask back to your design department.
Interesting. So, but your mass, but also your speeds, no?
Yes.
So you write down like a full like production note. This is how we ran it last time. If you had to go back and tell yourself one piece of advice as you were starting out, what would it be when it came to, once you joined Goldleaf and DMS? What would you tell the Chris Mejia of a couple years ago when you had joined?
Slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down. You already know what you're doing. I mean, it's the understanding is there. It happens somewhere between what was that? City of Industry and Calgary.
Yeah.
The full like
yeah.
It was like, geez, dude. And it was from there. It was just like another paintbrush, and it was and also, it helped trying to it went in training operators because I got to, kind of convey a curriculum that I built around instruction, and then I got the feedback of, well, that doesn't make sense, okay, so in the parts it did make sense, go back and rework that curriculum, and then further, gaining an understanding, and that was parts where I really slowed down was when, we would do the training, because I would get to be like, pump the brakes and ask, some of the questions that operators asked me when they were in training, I didn't bother to ask, but I had already known. I was like, holy crap, I didn't, realize I can add that to the curriculum. So that is not something I need to add and, discuss later. But in that, I just, one of those natural, it just kind of like, it was just like, just set, and so like over time, it was just kind of like, it was even dumbed down, like, further. So it's like, I feel like my current operator, I feel like I kind of Miyagi'd the guy. There's some substrates he hates. There's some masks that he hates. But I'm like, Dave, dude, you're so fucking good, dude. You don't even know it, dude. You don't even know it. But whatever, hate me all day long, man. So I tell him all the time, dude, I Miyagi the shit out of you, man. You don't even know it.
That's great. That's great. Great piece of advice. And so finally, Chris, we're putting together a team. I feel like Rick and Morty right there. It's like, you son of a bitch, I'm in. No, but so we're putting together, this community, and basically it's going to allow operators to really talk to all the other operators around the world, and people who are running the machine and managing and estimating and selling the stuff out there. And I just, if you were to have those kinds of conversations with other operators, is there stuff that you think you can still learn from other operators who are out there, maybe across the world, using, what kind of stuff would you look forward to having a conversation on with other guys that run in machines or girls?
I would love to, where you see a lot of exotic, substrates coming out, especially like Plike, and there's Italian companies are putting out really good stuff. There's some some stuff out of India.
Indians, oh yeah, they're
oh my god, dude. But phenomenal work. Oh my god, their foil work is but like just and just knowing that you can't just like classify this is C1S or this is whatever, I mean, you can, but surface tension is going to be different. The finishes are going to be just a little bit different. You see it from laminate to laminate.
Yep.
I mean, of course, you're going to see it from paper to paper. So in that, I love to just see and hear what their experiences are with, like, just overcoming some of the hurdles that you come across when you run into something totally new, something with a totally like brilliant finish that you want to put stuff on, but don't know if you can, and don't know how. If you could, just how do you do it? How do you do it? Like that kind of stuff.
Like the uncoated, like a lot of people out there are kind of cracking uncoated papers. I don't know if you're experimenting. Like we had Matt Redbear on last week, telling us how he was running blank sheets through his press and just using the fuser oil coming off of the press, not even printing anything, just the fuser oil in the fuser was enough in some cases to coat the uncoated sheets enough for the varnish to hold and not get absorbed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't. Are you experimenting with uncodeds at all
Not
or no?
not through the unit. What I've done with Uncoded is I've taken the mask, okay, original mask, bank one, just one bank, match speeds. Like say you just record
Yep.
0.25, 0.25 with one bank. And then you take that mask at 25% of that mask to kind of set, it's going to dive, but it's going to cure fast enough, kind of set a foundation.
Hmm.
Sometimes, depending, and I've been 80% successful-ish with, text down to 14, 15 point font.
Really?
Um, but it does take sometimes 3 passes, depending on the design.
Yeah.
But what I found is that you take your first pass at 25%, you kind of set that foundation, and then you run that second pass. And if it's dialed in, you can get it to stamp.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
depends on the mask. It depends on the substrate.
it does.
It bounces. Sometimes you get a different kind of vacuum. Sometimes
Yeah.
the vacuums need to be turned down, but sometimes
The
you can't
spray.
turn them down because you got a curling. So there's
Yeah.
like
It's
this
all
weird.
trade-offs, right? You're trading off one thing for
Yeah,
another, and it's about
yeah.
finding the balance.
But I'm definitely gonna try the fuser, dude. Big
Yeah.
ups, Matt, for that, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of stuff that I hope. Hopefully, this JetForce community will be able to develop is, sharing kind of information that everybody could be successful with.
Yeah,
It's not
totally.
like there's a million of these machines out there. There's enough that
No, no, we're
we can
elite.
share. You really are. You're one of the few. You could really think you're one of the few people on this earth that gets to play with this kind of technology on a daily
Right,
basis. And so it sucks to have to reinvent the wheel every time. It's fun to invent the wheel and to
right.
continuously find new things, but it's also fun to find out how other people have
It's
done it.
also fun to put 4 of those wheels on a race car and just watch it go.
That exactly, exactly. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's
All
neat.
right. Well, listen, Chris, my good friend. It's I can't tell you how heartwarming it's been to catch up with you.
Oh, yeah,
I
it's been
uh,
great, man.
I, I miss you, man. Hopefully, we'll be able to see each other
Yeah,
soon.
next
And
time we're out, I'll make a call and
yeah,
you get in the water. I mean, last time we were out, it was a week ago, and it was just so miserable. And I just wanted to get
yeah.
the wife out for Valentine's Day, and we meet mom-in-law, and
You
and
came during the worst week in Florida
I know, dude. It was
possible.
like, really. And the last day we were leaving, and it was just like, I was looking at my wife. She looked at me, and it was just like the sun was just beating on us. And it was like, we gotta go. Let's just go. Let's just go. And getting back to Alabaster,
Yeah,
dude, it was so beautiful that day.
sure.
It was like we brought some Florida sunshine back with us.
Yeah,
Lasted a day, one
nice.
day.
Well, that's all you
It was
got.
just like gloomy. Oh, okay.
Well, listen,
It's
next
all
time you're in
good, man.
town, you give me a call. We'll
For
go out for
sure.
some drinks and
Oh
we'll
yeah,
get to catch up in person. And in
fantastic.
the meantime, thank you again for all your wonderful
No
work. Thanks
worries.
for sharing your wisdom with us here on the Jet Force.
No problem.
And I hopefully you'll be an active member of this community that there's not too many of us out there, but
Sure.
enough that we can learn a lot from each other. I have a feeling.
Yeah, let's grow this. That's cool. Yeah, I'm down
All right,
all day.
man. Thanks again.
Hi, bud. Have a good
See you,
one.
Chris.
Talk
Bye.
soon.